Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds. Today I'm hanging out with Todd from Dungeon Life. Maybe you've seen some of the cool interviews he's done. You've had the leads on from Wizards of the Coast, different people from Wizards of the Coast, as well as Matt Mercer as well. Which that's Matt Mercer's really hard to get.
Right, right. Yeah. I imagine he is pretty difficult to get. It takes emails, a lot of emails.
I don't even have a place. I couldn't even find a place to send an email.
Oh yeah. I mean, I definitely have the benefit of like I've been a reporter for like 20 years or so. So
Oh, okay. So
yeah, that's like I get a lot of questions like how do you get people on your show and stuff like that. And I've been like either covering video games or D&D or like nerd culture in general for like a really long time, and so that certainly helps.
I would imagine so. Yeah, because your name actually came up in one of the groups that I belong to for creators, basically, and they're like, "Who is Dungeon Life? Where do they come from? Are they an extension of Watts?" It's like these highly produced professional videos that like seem like a commercial for Wizards of the Coast. Who are they?
Yeah, no, we're definitely not commercial for Wizards of the Coast. Yeah, I started out. I was I didn't start out at, but I eventually ended up at NBC News, and I was their game editor in chief for all their video game content, and I tried several times to cover D&D there, and that wasn't going to happen for me.
They weren't having it.
No, I was lucky enough to be covering video games. But yeah, so I did that for years and years and years and years, and then I did a documentary, and then yeah, then I decided to do Dungeon Life, and so I've definitely learned a lot about cameras. I've been a photographer my whole life, and I'm pretty obsessed with cinematography and stuff like that. So that's kind of why they look as slick as they do. I can always improve, so because it's just me handling the camera. So sometimes it's like you're trying to think of the person you're interviewing, and you're trying to think of like great questions and connect with them, and you're also like checking your audio levels on your camera and if everything's in focus, and so it's like this juggling act that's just kind of
Well,
insane.
yeah, I did notice that like when I was watching the videos before, where I want to use the word weird, but it's not really that it's weird, but it's like a very much an interview style, except for there's no interviewer in,
Yeah, no,
in a lot
and
of the video.
so yeah, and I need to fix that. I hate being on camera actually, but and I hate being interviewed. Uh, I have a lot of like social anxiety and stuff like that, but I had to do it for like NBC for years, and I love interviewing people and seeing their reactions and hearing the information they have to say and getting them to open up. Especially like the people at D&D are really fun to interview because they have all of this knowledge all the time. Like they're just top down making D&D, right? And then someone asks them a question and it's just like it's a nuclear bomb of like information, and that's like ideal for me, right? I don't have to like do too much because they really are incredibly well spoken. So yeah, I need to integrate myself a little bit more in what questions I'm asking, and probably like more of this American life style. Um, but yeah. So the videos do come off as a little weird in the beginning. Absolutely. Sorry, that was a very long answer to your question.
No, that's fine. So now I just envision you holding up like cue cards with the questions. but but I totally get what you're saying about in the niche. Talking to the gamers and game designers is so easy. Like so, this is number 36, I think, for our live chats, and I'm definitely not a professional interviewer or a reporter in any way, shape, or form. And there's a huge difference between you when you get a lot of the people in our industry on because they just want to talk. Like nerds get together and you say D&D or gaming or whatever, but they generally have an opinion and they just want to go. So it does make it a lot easier.
Yeah, and that's something like in something in the video game industry I noticed a lot, and not always because there's like really great game developers out there, but there's the stakes. Not that the stakes for D&D aren't incredibly high because they are, but they've not had like super aggressive. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like if you're interviewing somebody about a AAA game, they've been coached so many times that it's hard for them to have sometimes a realistic conversation with somebody. Like they can't just shoot the shit because they're trying to keep track of all the talking points they're supposed to hit because someone said you need to mention this, you need to mention that, you can't say this, you can't say that. And that, how do you behave like a human at that point? Unless you just don't give a shit, and which some game developers, don't. Like Vincent Pella is like always a great interview for like Titanfall and stuff like that. But the people at D&D are like, not only are they like really really smart, they're very well spoken, they have all of these thoughts about what they're doing, and they just haven't had that like grinded out of them. Like they're just all very authentic people, and that's like, I didn't know that this was going to happen, that Dungeon Life was even going to exist, to be honest. I've been interviewing people for like since I was 18 probably, and it's so fun to interview the people over at Wizards of the Coast. Because they're not used to being interviewed all the time, and they are so like honest, and it's kind of this intersection of, it's a game, it's art, it's creativity, it's live storytelling, and there's just like no end to like what you can talk about. Like, so yeah, I don't know, it's just amazing. Like when you find something is really fun, you just really need to dig in and do it. I mean, that's just how it is.
So yeah, what I'm hearing is they haven't been interviewed enough to say the wrong things enough. They've been yelled at enough. So now is a good time to keep talking to them before they start getting themselves in trouble.
before I mean, it also may be, I mean, like I'm sure that they're also like kind of aware of that I mean, being genuine is so much more important on the internet. Like we're all jaded at this point in a lot of ways. Like we see a slickly produced video and we kind of shut down. I'm certainly that way, especially when it's like in-house produced videos for like high-end video games. Like you're like, let me tell you about how wonderful we are, and I'm like
yeah.
That's why Twitch does so well, and that's why Google Hangout, like live streams on YouTube Live do well, because that you can sense the bullshit immediately. Like it's just having a conversation back and forth, and so.
Yeah, well, that too, and I feel like this platform in particular, the fans like to come and hang out and interact with each other, interact with us in the chat. Like if you see me getting distracted, it's because I have the chat up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm not looking at the chat. I'm terrified.
Don't worry, man. It's just me and you in here.
Okay. Yeah. Well.
And like 50 people watching, but they're all cool. No, you know what though? That's the really great thing about this niche and gamers, is tabletop gamers anyway. They are a great crowd to hang out with. They're genuinely good people, and we get very few assholes that show up. I think we've had to like moderate or ban people. Maybe I could probably count them on one hand. And like I said, this is number 36.
Right.
And I feel like when that happens, it's literally people that are just looking for live chats to go troll on. So they're not even really like our people per se. So
that is something I've absolutely noticed, because the people in the D&D community are not afraid to critique or criticize something. But what's shocking is it's not in a jerk way. Like it's like confusing. It's like, it'd be nice if the shot was framed a little bit differently, or if your mic was like a little bit lower, or like it would be like really like honest criticism, like without snark. And
yeah.
Coming from video games for like 8 years or whatever, that is just shocking. Like I don't know. I'm like, oh, thank you.
You probably have to spend some time adjusting, going like, is he messing with me? Or
right, yeah, you're like, I don't know. I can't deal with people being nice to me. I don't know how to deal with this. Yeah, it's weird. It's more like real life, actually.
So, staff writer Doug, no worries, Todd. We're happy to have you here. Awesome to see a fellow journalist covering the RPG world.
Cool.
Todd is one of you're Todd. Doug is one of our staff writers that volunteers for us, and he also works in newspapers. So.
Oh yeah, so he knows.
Yeah. The guy that does the editing, our editor and manages the website for us, is also a guy that was in newspapers for like 20 years.
Oh man, yeah. Like a lot of the people when I was working at msnbc.com, most of those people writing were like newspaper people. So which is why it was so great, actually.
Yeah, I can't believe we even had those guys helping us out. It's awesome. Also, staff writer Megan's in the chat. Hey, Megan, and hello to everybody else that's out there that's joining us. Really appreciate it. If you guys want to bust out the roll call, feel free. We'll continue chatting, and then I'll jump back in to see where everybody's from today. So, do you want to like kind of go over like how Dungeon Life got started? I know we were talking about it a little bit before we hit play or hit go.
So in Dungeon Life, I've kind of always wanted to cover. I mean, when I was a little kid, like that's all I had was D&D because we lived in the middle of nowhere. I mean, like we didn't even have like a zip code temporarily. It was really weird. It was the 70s, so like we were like between two very small towns. Like we were near a small town that had like population 1,000. I grew up on a farm, and so D&D was like what we did, or like, and I didn't even have anyone to play with, right? Like my brother would buy the modules, and I would just read the crap out of them over and over and over again, and the rules, and mainly the monster manuals. I was obsessed with those, and so yeah, it was kind of like a daydream to like one day I'll either work on it or I'll like do something on D&D. Like that would be amazing. At NBC, I tried several times to try to do something on Dungeons and Dragons, and that never flew. Like I tried to work with like the Penny Arcade guys to like maybe we could do a series on D&D, but like I never could get the approval and from NBC on that.
The band keeping you down.
Yeah, well, I mean, the viewers probably weren't there at NBC. Like the Today Show crowd probably isn't like huge into gibbering mouthers, but so yeah, eventually I did leave NBC as the video game editor, and then I did a documentary on cosplay, and because those people are also incredibly well spoken and have lots and lots of passion. You don't make a costume that takes you like a year without giving a damn about that character, right? So that was just really fun for me to interview. The only issue I ever had with that, like visually stunning, great people to talk to, but I'm not a cosplayer. And D&D, I DM. Like I've run games my entire life. I've played D&D my entire life, and so like being able to do a video series about Dungeons and Dragons, which is something like I care a lot about, but I also just do as like an artistic medium or just like hanging out with friends or however you want to view it, was really exciting. And I was working at contributing videos to Forbes, and so I produced like 3 or 4 videos on D&D just about its resurgence, because suddenly it became kind of cool to play D&D, which again, I thought was being punked by somebody, right? Like people start openly talking about D&D in the office, and I'm like, okay. Like,
so sorry to cut you off, but those Forbes articles that came out, was that you? Did you write those?
Yeah. I'm a terrible writer. No, I'm a video guy, and
okay.
I'll do like transcripts of the interviews that we have. That's my strong suit. But in terms of writing it, I'll be completely honest, it is a very huge struggle for me doing any kind of writing.
Because yeah, I just know over the last couple of years, especially when 5th edition was first coming out, there was a couple of Forbes articles. I don't even know that I read them, to be honest with you.
When 5th edition first came out, it probably was David Ewalt.
Okay.
Yeah. Because cool. I played a little 4th edition, but it just didn't take for me personally. And then 5th edition came out, and a bunch of friends said that you really need to check it out, and I checked it out, and I was like, okay, this is really exciting. But yeah, basically, so Dungeon Life started because we had nowhere where to put it, and I enjoyed doing this. And it's not profitable by any means, but yeah, if I could just make videos about D&D my entire life, I'm sure you would agree. I would just do that. And,
absolutely.
And I don't think there's any end to potential with like doing content or live streams about Dungeons and Dragons, because it is so many things.
All that being said, all your social media and your website, all of that, your website looks really sharp, by the way. All of that is in the description, guys. So you can go check out Dungeon Life, go subscribe, follow them, see what they're doing, see what they've got going on, check out their Patreon, and hopefully you guys will, by you guys following along, we'll get more of these highly well-produced videos and interviews, and you're doing a great job of getting access to people that are hard to get to.
Yeah, it's definitely, it definitely like that's a big question I always get, and it really comes down to like I just was fortunate enough to. It was a lot of hard work. Like it just didn't happen. Like I probably spent 7 years doing 14-hour days and never saw my family as a reporter. Like it's a hard job, and especially when you're doing videos into like the middle of the night. Um, but you made a lot. I made a lot of contacts, and I also got kind of the rep ahead of time to be able to say, "Hey, I want to do an interview," and they'll know, like, uh, I will do a decent job. Like the video will look nice and stuff like that.
Right. They're gonna look at your stuff and be like, "Oh, this is dirty. He's gonna make us look good." And like I hound these guys, and they're like, "Oh, this bum won't leave us alone."
I won't. I won't. They'll look visually good, but like I don't let them know. I'll let them know like this is what I would like to talk about, but it's none of that like. You know, this happens in journalism sometimes where they'll send like a bunch all of the questions they'll possibly have or stuff like that. And I mean, it's D&D, right? We're not, no one's curing cancer. Like there's not going to be like this big like scandal or anything like, you know, and all the DLC are like, so I'm not saying that D&D isn't super important because D&D is super important to me, but like
all things being relative, no, I totally understand.
Yeah. So I just like the idea of if you ever saw This American Life, having a podcast like video format where we talk back and forth, and I tried to break them, especially of like I was talking to Mike Merles and Jeremy Crawford, and getting them to talk about their home games. And the more I can get these people to relax and just talk about their lives, the more it's going to inform, I think, how D&D gets made. And like if you can make them laugh, you learn a lot about anybody you're interviewing when you get them to just kind of be themselves. And that can be really hard in interviews, you know. But they were talking about their home games and they're laughing and they're telling weird jokes, and that's the stuff I love the most because all these people are human beings. And
no robots yet.
No. Maybe in the video game industry here and there, but not at the Wizards of the, not at the D&D, not with the D&D people so far. I've been really utterly shocked. Like I've been kind of waiting for someone to be a jerk actually, and it just hasn't happened. And I can spot them like a mile away. So
hang in there. You'll get your jerk.
Yeah, I'll find my jerk, and I will let you know.
Interview the angry GM. People love him.
Oh, yeah.
He's kind of a personality on like Twitter. He's got a website, but like he's created this persona of being the angry GM, and he's kind of volatile and can be quite controversial. So we had him on.
That's good to have, though. That's good that you always need that. Like my job, I see, isn't to like review or critique as much as just document the existence of it and like interview people in the community as well. And like we have a couple other local stories here that we want to tell really soon. But like just getting like honest reactions from the people who are making D&D and a little bit more insight into how it comes about. And I think we're going more and more long form with that. I think people really have responded to just long interviews. Because at first I was like producing these really fast-paced videos that had like lots of B-roll. And I don't think we need that necessarily. We just want to see their faces while they're telling whatever story they're trying to tell.
Yeah, we've experimented with both doing long and short, and people will watch it all, really.
Yeah. I'm just learning. Like so.
Well, you know what we ended up doing? We ended up at first we would do really long videos, but then we started doing like micro topics. So it's not like we're glossing over everything. It's just that we draw down so deep that, you know, after you do 10, 15 minutes, there isn't really much else to say.
Yeah, and you definitely want to like chapterize things so people can just easily find the one thing they want to know. Like when I interviewed Matthew Mercer, like, okay, here's the thing where he talks about Twitch, what's important for running a D&D game on Twitch, and here's the part where he has player character advice and dungeon master advice. And I think it's good to chapterize things out like that, rather than make people kind of search for them. But
right, they can pick and choose what they want.
but it's okay to let it go long. So I mean, people just want the information. I'm obsessive compulsive when it comes to D&D. I've read the Arcane Archer rules over and over again. I'm constantly waiting for like, my obsession has always been wild mages. Back when I was in the Tome of Magic.
Yeah,
So,
second edition.
yeah.
Nice.
That,
I'm going to dive into the chat real quick for
oh
the
yeah,
roll
go ahead.
call.
Sorry.
We're just going to take a look and see where people are from. So we got staff writer and Doug in Cleveland. We got Jeremy in Central Florida. We got K Kelvin 100 Ireland, Acolyte Boston, Andrew Corpus Christi, Nordic Dragon, Sweden again. We got Poison from hello from Kuwait, Comic Book University, Earth 2 Post Crisis. We got Paul over in Pittsburgh, Eric in Texas, Uncle Peter, Toronto, Charles, Texas. That's a question. I'll have to come back and find that one for you. We got Oklahoma. We got Ohio. I don't think there's an official Buck Crack, Ohio, Megan. More Chicago.
It would be Cincinnati. No.
Fort Worth, Texas. We got more Sweden. We got Dusk City. I questioned that one a little bit. We got New York City, Edmonds, Washington, Seattle, Washington.
Oh man.
We got Belgium in the house. Oh, Ludwig. Ludwig is the first fan I killed in a game. Welcome, Ludwig. What else do we got here?
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, last game I killed them all, so it was all right though. It was part of the game. We got more Ohio, Washington State, Utah, Nevada, Georgia, Seattle, more Texas, Missouri, Florida, Netherlands. So we're all over the place today. We're up to like 75 people watching today, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's more than a classroom. That's 2 classrooms.
Yeah, there you go. So hopefully we'll help extend the reach. I don't know if you guys have checked out any of the Dungeon Led videos. They're done extremely well. Todd does an excellent job over there. So hopefully you get more of them watched and get you making more of them.
I'm trying. Yeah, we're not. I don't think we're ever going to stop in the foreseeable future, as long as we can get by. The hard drive space is getting dodgy, but yeah, those files are huge because we use 4K files to kind of like for prosperity, okay. So that we have like we can adjust the shots in post, but also just so like in the future we have like a cleaner file.
Right, when you want to turn it into a hologram or something.
Yeah, we don't want to turn it into a hologram.
My buddy has a Kung Fu channel and online Kung Fu school. I think they film in 4K as well.
Yeah, it's really good for post-production and yeah, it's just really helpful. But the files are just, they're huge. So.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
That's a lot of storage. You're just going to have external hard drives just stacked up on a bookshelf somewhere.
Oh, yeah, it's already looking pretty rough. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's good, too. I've also uncovered your secret, and that is simply to be a journalist for like 20 years or so. And then we, too, can stalk all the right people better than anyone else.
Yeah. I mean, like, I always looked... I'll never. When I grew up as a kid, my parents had like, because it was literally in the middle of nowhere. They had like one of those old, massive '80s satellites, and that's the only way I could really get television. And I saw Tech TV, and Adam Sessler was on Tech TV doing what was going to become X Play. And I remember seeing what he was doing. I'm like, I want to fucking do that. That is amazing. Like you're talking about games on a show on like cable, and so. This is a dream job to like make that happen for maybe D&D one day, where it's just documenting D&D and like to keep it going. And it may take years for us to get on our feet. I don't know. I hope not. But it's unlike video games, it's like so many people. There's so much homebrew material, and it's on the players and it's on the DM, and it's like theater. And I don't know. It's like you can't run out of content.
Yeah, and now like we're in this like Renaissance golden age of tabletop role playing games. I mean, people are watching it for entertainment. We we do some live games, just like the same format here, or we will even record our home games and throw them up. And I've never been into watching the gameplays, but I know other people do, so we record them and put them up. And now, once in a while, I'll get into it now, but it's such a huge time investment. It's hard.
It is, and it's interesting because it really kind of depends. I come from a weird background of, yeah, I played a couple, like I ran D&D games in high school and middle school, and those, and I made a lot of mistakes, a lot of DMs do, where it's like this big, like, listen to me talk, here's the storyline that we're going to do, and things would be on the rails because I'm just learning. But the best I ever got was, I was in college, and I basically ran into a bunch of theater nerds, and I ran a game for them, and it ended up going 2 years. And until like we had the Christmas special, that's what we call it, where we had 12 people playing, and I had 2 assistant DMs handling like combat in different areas, and they would let me know when shit happened, like as I trusted them. It was just crazy, and it was so fun because everyone's like very kind of theatrical, but still like in it for like, you know, the loot and stuff like that, and it was just like, it was nuts. And so I like because it was so many of those things, like we had some people who were just all about the rules, and we had some people that were just all about the, you know, role playing aspect. Like I can definitely connect with Critical Role. Dice Camera Action is hilariously funny. I think it feels a little bit more like my own home game in the weird wackiness of it all. And the C Team, I like the C Team as well.
I've heard a lot of good things about the C Team. I have not checked them out yet, sadly.
Terry has a very creative mind, so the C Team is always very interesting. And yeah, it's a good crew. It's a good crew.
I don't know how you have time to watch them. I mean, you got a full-time gig, you're doing Dungeon Life, and you suffer from the same problem as me. Like I would, like, if I'm going to listen to that stuff, it's going to be like, wow, I'm working, and you can't edit video and listen to someone play a game at all.
No, I mean, recently I've been outputting a lot of videos because we've been trying to raise money on Patreon because we're trying to hit that, at least the $600 goal, which is really just to keep us afloat, keep us alive. But so I've been kind of putting out a lot more videos than I normally do, and it's definitely cut into my time. But yeah,
well, wait a minute. Here would be the thing that's really telling. Do you have any kids?
No, I don't have any kids.
That's not be. That's the secret ingredient right there.
I have a wife, and that's amazing that she puts up with me. But she plays D&D, and I run a game for her and her friends and our friends, and they're all like people who went to our wedding and stuff like that. So
cool. Yeah. See, that's the real secret there. Remember that, kids. Don't have kids because they'll wreck your life.
Don't have kids if you want to do something that's really hard and creative. yeah. Because they are the creativity. Like they are the thing you are creating.
Well, and that's it. Like I was talking to Rudy Rutenberg from Maze Arcana yesterday, and I've been chatting with him and Satine, and I would love to watch more of their games. They're doing all stuff in Ebron, but I'm like, when it comes down to the time that I would spend watching or listening to the games, it's like I could do that, or I could go spend time with my family. And at some point, I'm already gaming. I'm already doing this Nerdarchy thing. So at some point, I go, all right, I guess I have to be a husband and a father too.
Yeah, it's a hard balance. Like when I look back, see, we had massive layoffs. NBC years and years ago when we got acquired by Comcast, and eventually that included myself. But if I had not done that job, I would have not met my wife. But I could not have been like a good boyfriend if I was still working at NBC. So like all happened kind of at the right time in some weird way. Because I was working 14-hour days because I have to finish the video games I'm reviewing. Like that's my rule. Like I play through the entire games. I do the game capture. I edit the videos. I'd voice the videos, which takes forever for me because I have
Wait a minute. Your day job is playing video games?
No, that's what it was. That's what it was. Right. My day job isn't playing video games. But that's what it was before. And like, as fun as that sounds, it's just like, it's just me doing it. So it was just like 14, 15 hours, never sleeping, all the weekends. You can't even have a relationship, let alone get married. So,
well, you do have a relationship. It's just with your job.
Yeah, it's pretty lonely. Like it's pretty sad when it's like midnight and you're playing like what the Mickey Mouse game where you paint everything, like, and you just broke up with like a girl because it didn't work out because you didn't have the time. It's pretty hard to get into a Mickey Mouse game at that point on like the Nintendo Wii and like do a functional review of that. So don't be a video game journalist.
I'm just laughing. I'm laughing at the chat because, hey CBU, did you get my Goose Farm idea for Open Legend? Like, where else do you even see that? Like,
Yeah.
and I had to think about what was going on because we're running an Open Legend game, and I outsourced some of the world building to my players. Well, almost all of my players write for Nerdarchy, so some of them then in turn outsourced the outsourcing to the fans, and so which is pretty funny. How many? You said you're running a game for your wife and friends now.
Yeah, we're probably gonna go live in 2 weeks. Yeah, I'm running a game for my wife Megan and her friends. It's about it. Usually we have 4 players. Sometimes it will probably be 3 players. It's kind of strange because that dynamic is really interesting because I like it a little smaller because I feel like things happen faster. So, but they're a really fun group and they're just our friends. Right? This isn't a curated group of people,
Yeah,
and influencers or anything that are really good at D&D. These are just like our friends who I think are funny as hell. It's definitely going to, like, I'm going to screw up as a DM. I'm going to screw up rules as I definitely will. I tend to like play a little bit on the fly, and they do absolutely crazy shit, and I enjoy that. I like the chaos of dungeon mastering more than ever, and that's kind of how our games can be. Like, I wrote all of this plotline for this town. It was called Road's End. It was like all thieves, and it was this horrible city. But this green dragon had like kind of like was attacking the city, and they had to figure out like how to get it to stop. And eventually, they talked to so many NPCs. They're like, these guys are all assholes.
can we feed them to the dragon?
Yeah, and they're like, well, like, they were given the option. They talked to a wizard. They're like, they were given the option to like get rid of the dragon, like find a way. At least they had that path, and they're like, you know what? These guys are pricks. We're gonna go. Can we leave? And I'm like, yes, you can leave. Oh my god, you can totally leave. I'm just like tearing up my plot, but it's great because like I didn't. Now there's this town that the Green Dragon has because they said no. You guys are dicks. We're not having any of this. And that's what I love.
They should have sent the dragon a note saying "have it."
Well, my wife is actually a sorcerer with the draconic background, so she's very good at communicating with dragons, which she does. But then she'll say something kind of flippant, like at the end, like sarcastic, which is not so good with dragons. Yeah. So it's almost like we need like a graphic that comes up, like Megan talks to dragons, because we know everything's going to go bad. Someone's going to die.
The graphic should be a bottle of ketchup.
I'm not sure I understand. I don't get the reference, actually.
What is it? Don't meddle in the affairs of dragons, because you're, what is it? Something like small and crunchy and taste good covered in ketchup.
Okay, that's right. That's right. Okay.
I'm paraphrasing horribly, but I'm sure.
Yeah, but that's very familiar. Okay.
So, Comic Book University, Dragon's Head hanging from the wall says he comes from a weird background. That is a sweet dragon's head in the background.
Oh, that was my it was my 40th birthday, and my wife got that for me, and that's probably also my Christmas gift, and also probably my next birthday gift. But yeah, that was pretty amazing when I got that. So
they're not cheap.
No, they are not. They're not cheap. That's like I said, that's probably the gift for the year or two. But I love that thing. Oh my god. That it really is really. I mean, I'm going to actually review it eventually to like get really close detail shots because like I haven't seen photos that really do it justice, but God, it is like really detailed. The only thing better was like if you could get like Vermithrax, the actual head of Vermithrax from like Dragon Slayer in your living room.
Nice, that would be pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'd freak out and then lock it up and never let people touch it.
That would probably be like the size of your living room, though, because
that was big. It was a big animatronic mess, but it was so good. It was like so well done.
Like now that dragon would be on a flash drive somewheres.
I know. It's so sad to think that. Yeah, you're right. It was such an amazing. I rewatched it again. It still holds up. It's still so good. It's so anti-typical plot. You
I
know, like
think I think I saw my first boobs in that movie.
oh yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people did. Yeah, underwater boobs in a Disney film, right? Um,
I was probably like in my tweens when it came out, so
right, right,
it
right.
was a very pivotal moment in my life.
It's also like the 80s. The 80s were really weird about that. Like it was almost like mandatory. Remember, like there wasn't a single action movie that didn't have like nudity in it. It was like even if it was like a kids film, they're like, we need to put nudity somewhere in this. I mean, do you remember how weird the last unicorn was? Like, there's a tree with breasts in that. That like is a really upsetting scene.
I,
This is a cartoon made for children. This is the same cartoonist who did The Hobbit and Return of the King, not Two Towers or Fellowship, because weird laws and rules. They sold the rights to the other guys. Remember?
yeah, I actually don't remember that movie because it was a bit so long ago. Although I would not call Dragon Slayer a kids movie. Like
Yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
like fed the princess to like the baby dragons, right?
Well, it was a kids movie in my household.
Yeah, well, I also had really bad parents that let me watch everything. So,
Yeah, I saw Predator pretty early. So
staff writer Doug, Excalibur was my first fantasy movie. Nakedness.
Excalibur was amazing. The guy who plays Merlin is fantastic, and that's another movie where it really is against convention. Like he could have been like, "I'm Merlin," blah blah blah, and he's this really comedic, great theater trained actor. And one of the weird things I found out about him is actually he almost refused to do the movie because he hated the actress Morgan Le Fay so much. They had been in theater together and they had been in productions. And they hated each other, and the director like told him, "Do the movie. It makes sense for your characters to hate each other. It will play off on screen." I'm like, that's amazing. But yeah,
Yeah,
he's my favorite Merlin. Like
that is amazing, and that's the first time we see. Well, that's the first time I remember seeing Jean-Luc Picard,
yeah,
Patrick
I know.
Stewart,
he's
and
so he's so good. And then Dune, he's amazing.
yeah, yeah. But you know what the weirdest
People,
thing is? He looks exactly the same as he does
I
today.
know. And Liam Neeson's in that for like a few seconds. He's the one who they convinced to like talk shit at the dinner table. Morgan Le Fay does. Yeah, it's Morgan Le Fay. They're like, he's like whispering Liam Neeson's ear, and then he's like, "Ugh." But the first time I saw him, he was in Krull as like as one of the mercenaries in Krull.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Oh man, we needed you. We needed you like a couple months ago. Me and my partner Ted, we did this retro '80s podcast with we had done in January. We had done a Comic-Con cruise,
Okay.
and we met Brian Stillman, and he does documentaries.
Yeah.
He did Plastic Galaxy, and he's currently working on. This guy should pay me. I mention his name so much, and and he's currently working on the Art of D&D, Eye of the Beholder. Well,
Oh yeah. That looks great.
yeah, yeah. So, oh, if you need someone to interview too, he's a great guy to interview.
Yeah, I need to actually. I think they reached out, and I do need to interview them. So
He's talked to like every artist, past and present, that there's ever been. He's got a lot of great stories. But his friend was on the cruise with us, and he does the podcast sometime, and we were talking about all '80s movies, and like most of the ones we've mentioned were brought up, except for I have a horrible memory when it comes to stuff, and I rarely watch things more than once.
oh man, yeah,
So
I have a really good memory for movies in particular, and I will also with some things I will watch them over and over again. I don't know why. I've watched Prometheus like probably 80 times, and I understand that that's not a perfect film or even a good film, maybe. But there's something about David and that character. Like I'll just watch it till the end of time. That's such a great performance. But yeah, I'm pretty obsessive about
so
sci-fi. So.
Heavy Armored Mage is asking for your funniest story from a D&D session.
Oh man, that's so hard. Like, I recently had an adventure I loved where they broke out of Bitopia, and that's probably the most recent one. And in it, I just had this thing where like our characters are very kind of not really good. Like they're pretty close to evil, and some of them got stuck in Bitopia, but it's like a pocket of Bitopia. And the alternate rules for Bitopia are that after a while you start becoming neutral good, and then you start becoming lawful good. And so I kind of envisioned they're in this village of like these people are just like hi, like like kind of overly southern and super happy about life, and like let's go down to the festival, and like they're like, God, this is the worst adventure we've ever been on.
I'm actually envisioning like the worst stereotype of Canadians. Super happy Canadians.
Yeah, like if like a super creepy Canada. No, I was definitely in like a southern headspace for it, but like lemonade and all that stuff. But they eventually make contact with a beholder who is dying because there's no magic in this particular bubble, and he's fading. So he's literally like on his side, gasping for life, and he's just like, "Get me the F out of here! You have to help me!" And they like put him in a wheelbarrow, and like it's gonna be an adventure. I actually make an adventure module, but they put him in a wheelbarrow and like cover him up, and they just run him through town, trying to get out of town, and then they like find the portal that they need to get through, and they have to shove him through the portal underwater. And it's just like it's this mass hysteria, and then like the portal, the other end of the portal is actually like a stupid ring that's on a frost giant's arm. So that arm gets severed, and there's just blood everywhere, and they're on top of a mountain now. And then they're like, they grab his shield, and then they like ride the shield down the mountain, like it's like a blood slick down the mountain with a beholder. It was just like insane. I like insane things. The other one I really liked was when players say dumb things, like they're like they had to break into this prison, and they decided to steal decided, instead of stealing uniforms like you would do, right? Like, I need to break into this prison and grab these people. The smart ass leader of the group decided that they were going to ask for a tour, and I'm like, okay. And they're like, like we're so smart. I'm like, yeah, well, here's our prison. Well, welcome to blah 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 prison. As you can see, the walls are extremely thick. These are bars. They're made out of this metal. We once had as many as 200 prisoners here, and like it's like it's just giving them the tour. Like if you step into a prison cell, you can see how small and suffocating they are, and they all do this stuff because they're going along with it. And like, and the guards shut the doors. And they're like, "What?" I'm like, "What do you think was going to happen? Am I an idiot?" Like, these guys aren't bright, but they're not that dumb. Like, and it's just adventures like that. So that was fun.
That is funny. I play. Today's Tuesday. Tuesday nights I play on a Twitch game, and it's all the players and the DM are from Canada. And I kid you not, last session, like three of them play at the same location, and then the rest of us are all over the place.
Yeah.
So one of them is looking at the other, go, "Hey, is your head smoking?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's getting warm. I think it is." And like, we can't see what's going on. We just hear them talking. And they're like so super calm. And like, I expect any minute to see someone come on camera with their head on fire. The headset, the batteries in the headset had overheated, and they were catching fire on his head. And they're like super calm and like, like, you ever see the commercial with the guy in his head? He's literally on fire, and the other guy's like, you're on fire. Yeah, it's all right. I got some work to finish up here. And
yeah.
But it was kind of like that in real life. Canadian.
Like for a player, I had a character named Averin who he was a thief assassin, and we had a guy who was a paladin in the group, and I had a ring of they couldn't detect my alignment. It was so fun because like the paladin finally, like, people would just die around the group. Like, I was the super evil dude, and I played him like Christopher Walken. Like, that's how I talked all the time. But the paladin finally just figured out that I was probably the assassin who's been killing everyone for like all the adventures, because I would just pass notes to the DM. Like, we'd be talking to a king, and then the king would fall over dead because I just had to get stuff done. But he like cast detect alignment and got nothing. And the paladin's just kind of like, he's eyeing me like, okay, I cast detect poison, and I lit up like a Christmas tree. I'm like, you don't know though. You technically you don't know, and you're a paladin. You cannot kill me. Like that's not proof of anything. All kinds of people carry poison, and it's those
Nice.
moments I like. I don't know, goofing off with your friends, man.
So GTRH3R0. So this basically Nerdarchy. We talk about D&D and tabletop role playing games, and every day, Monday through Thursday, we do a live stream, and we have various guests on. Today, we were talking to Todd from Dungeon Life, who's kind of known for interviewing Matt Mercer and um, Mike Merles. Mike Merles and Jeremy Crawford, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. No Perkins yet, though.
Oh no, I've interviewed Perkins, and I have actually a series with Perkins coming up. That's done very much in the same format as the Matthew Mercer interview I did. I talked to Mike about DMing and what it was like to do dice camera action, and be kind of like forced in that position. Because I feel like Chris, I mean, I have a lot of social anxiety, and so doing anything live, which we're doing soon, is like really terrifying to me.
Yeah.
And he very much kind of understands that emotion. But Chris is an incredibly smart guy, and the interview was fantastic. It's about 30 minutes of interview, and I'll break that up into different pieces. But his advice for DMing and his insight into like how the game gets made is pretty great. So yeah, we're gonna be talking to everybody that we can grab, and that will put up with us.
Nice. So how much stuff do you have in the can right now then?
Right now, I probably have 3 or 4, maybe even 5 Chris Perkins interviews. I'm doing a feature piece on, there's this really great statue that they did for one of the Dragon Plus covers of the Fungal Queen. And I just took I just got some really good shots of that statue. It's amazing. And just an interview about how that got made. And then I have an interview with Holly Conrad, who I've actually known since I was at NBC, and some other stuff. And eventually I'm going to do video blogs, just me talking about stuff.
So, awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, when you do your dragon head in the background, that's on Amazon. You should become an Amazon affiliate, an affiliate link to that.
Well, we did. I have done. Yeah, I know, because we're like desperate to like keep afloat. So anything that happens, yeah. But it's really goddamn amazing. I really love that dragon.
I will say,
like my favorite thing.
Our fans have been awesome about shopping on Amazon through our link, which helps a lot. Oh, yeah. And you know, they're already buying stuff there anyway. So you know,
yeah.
Now like they can use our link and buy their normal stuff, and it helps the channel a little bit. And you know, they get what they were going to buy anyway.
Yeah, I'm definitely new to having to raise money for, like, Patreon's really hard, especially when you're just like trying your best to make the video content anyway. So asking people for money at all is really difficult. But yeah, like I think an affiliate link is a really great way to do that. Also, it's just like, well, you're gonna buy this stuff anyways, and you get a little bit of cash for that. But yeah, I have to like figure out all the different ways we can monetize it, because this is like, even if we had like no one watching, I'd be doing this. Like, this is the people I'm interviewing. I'm interviewing because I want to talk to them, and it just so happens I'm smart enough to have a camera rolling at the time. But yeah, I love the conversation we're having now. This is why I do it. I love talking to people about this.
These guys are kind of used to me keeping it real and talking about money and stuff like that, because I understand like the thing that you're doing, like it's really, I know it's really hard to do that and your day job and everything else that's going on in your life. And eventually something has to give. You know, you can't do it indefinitely. My partner now, years and years ago, ran a fairly successful LARP, but you know, I had told him right from the beginning, like, if you really love this thing, you'll treat it like a business and run it that way. And he did it, and it went away, you know, and that thing has never been seen again. And, you know, because
that's good advice, actually. Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, everyone needs to live, everyone needs to eat. And if you're doing something that people love, they should love supporting you doing it. So
yeah, I feel the comments have been like overwhelmingly positive. People have been fantastic, and we listen to people. And I don't I think we have a real shot at making it and just making this like a thing. Like I would love Dungeon Life to be around in 10 years, and we're still doing videos about D&D. Like it's something we would care about a lot. And like my wife Megan does like photography, and she actually there's an artist who is actually drawing our characters for our live stream, and our my wife and my character as well. And she drew this amazing piece of art of it, basically a druidess, and my wife bought it from her, and then my wife liked it so much that she put the cosplay together for the artist to wear so she could take a photo of her in cosplay. And we went out into the middle of the woods and we have this like amazing photo. And so that's like other stuff we kind of want to do. We want to do like D&D cosplay and stuff like that. Like there's a lot more opportunities, I think.
What about cons and conventions? Are you going to be making any appearances?
That's I will, to the point where I can afford to. Like hotels and air travel is really hard. I'm really afraid of planes. Like it's not. I'm not afraid of planes. It's just the claustrophobia of it, which is really hard. But definitely gonna be at PAX Prime or West now. But that's in my backyard, so it's not so much of a cheat. It's so I can go Prime, and I will try to go to other ones. Eventually, I'd like to go to Gen Con.
Yeah, this year I'm going to Gen Con. And remember, guys, me and staff writer Doug will be there, and you could have us sleep on your floor. If not, we're probably sleeping in a car.
I'd say we have to do it.
Yeah, we kind of made that decision like last minute. We're going to be at Origins. I feel like I have to go to PAX Unplugged because it's in Philly, and I live right over the bridge. So,
well, then, yeah, you have to, dude. Also, that's like the first one. Like, how often do you get to go to the first PAX of something? Like,
yes,
that's crazy. So the vibe will be like interesting.
Yes, I definitely want to make that one. I was thinking Dragon Con too, but I don't know. It might be too much.
It's expensive. So,
well, you know what? You could do the same thing that we're doing and get press passes, at least for the con itself.
No, I mean, just like get in there, and it's hard. Like I did do an episode for cosplay about Dragon Con, but that was so expensive, like the hotel and the airfare, and it was also like I'm not used to the humidity anymore. I used to live in Cincinnati where it's really humid, but I'm not used to it now.
Now, was that when you did on your own, or did you do that for work?
That was my own. I was doing a documentary about cosplay.
So who did you get to interview? How long ago was this? Like any Jessica Negri, Ivy Doom Kitty?
I've interviewed Jessica Negri, and I've interviewed Ivy Doom Kitty and Yaya Han, and let's see,
Stella Chu.
Miss Sinister is great. She's from Portland, so I've known her for a while, and she's just a really great cosplayer. She cares a lot about it. But Yaya Han was actually she's really a fantastic interview. It's very difficult for a lot of people when they become famous. People get these very false perceptions of people, or like they're just people who are also, like, by the way, traveling constantly, and they always have to like be bright and happy. And like, man, I would not be bright and happy after like my 5th flight. Like after like every week going on a flight to another con, I would be cranky as F. And these people just keep it together, and they're like polite and nice, and understand that people are like waiting in line for them. And
it depends who it is too. Some of them, it's literally their job, and it's a really, really good one.
Even if it's just their job, man, it's hard, right? Like everyone, I think, like my friend Bill, he does punched props, and he's just 24/7 working hard.
Sure.
And you have to love it. Like you have to love it, because you will not do. And like you said, like if you love something enough, you kind of have to make it a business. Otherwise, you don't get to do it anymore. And finding that balance, is hard.
I'm intrigued by the whole cosplay thing, from both from, I enjoy the costuming, but I also from the business aspect. And like I look at Jessica Negri and I ballpark that, and I'm like, she's got to be doing like $250,000 to $500,000 a year. Like that's that's a good job doing something you love. I was doing road construction before this. And cosplaying ain't exactly swinging a 90-pound jackhammer. So,
well, it depends on the cosplay. Some of these I can never do. Like I thought, I'm like, oh, I'll make my own costume. That is not going to happen. Like some of these people, it takes so much tools and talent. Like my wife Megan has made cosplays where I'm just like, well, you're insane for doing this. Like she did the Death from American Horror Story and made the wings and like hand glued every feather and different types of feathers to get that layering effect. And it's so easy to like look at some of these things and think like that's easy. And but really when you look at how much money it costs and how much time it costs, like it's the same thing as what I'm doing. Like it's so hard. And they're not even like they're not making money off this. Like for the cosplayers that do make money, good for them. But like that is not
That's not
like
the
that
norm.
is
No, I understand.
yeah, that is just like they got. I mean, like anything, like hard work is part of it and most of it, but you also need like a lot of luck. Um, Again, like Bill Duran from Punish Props. If you want to check out a guy who just like owns it and he makes tutorials on how to make stuff out of foam and all this stuff. He had like really amazing Skyrim cosplay of Dragor Deathlords.
Yeah.
So good and one of the best photos I've ever taken in my life of him and his wife. I could never do what he does. He reminds me of my dad in his workshop. Especially when you visit these people and you're like, wow, those are a lot of fumes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's
And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's easy by no means. I'm just saying
yeah.
some of them do it and they make a good living at it. But pointing out Jessica Negri is a little unfair anyway because she's like the top of the food chain. And but there's quite a few other people have made successful careers at it. And you're right, they're skilled and amazing, and I couldn't do it. Like I joke about wanting the cosplay, but I'm like, I need someone else to actually make the stuff. I'll just wear it.
Oh yeah. Like I was looking into making like a Death Trooper costume from Star Wars Rogue One. Yeah, that's not something I can like. I could probably do it after like years of failure and lots of money lost, but and commissioning it even is really expensive. Like it's just like
I love Lemon cosplay. Some of the armors, or is it Lady
oh,
Lemon
she's
cosplay?
really talented, really nice person. She's
Yeah, and
great.
she does
Yeah,
Wing Chun too. Yeah,
yeah, and Svetlana Kamui cosplay. She makes a lot of amazing work. If you go to Star Wars Celebration, you'll see absolutely stunning cosplays there as well.
I walked into the game room at that on that cruise, and my brother's playing code names. But the thing that he doesn't, I don't think he realized he's playing code names with all the Nerdless girls.
Oh,
And I'm like, did you get pictures or anything? He's like, no. I'm like, what are you doing? Because he at the time he was part of Nerdarchy as well. I had wandered by and I got the picture real quick, but we were there like on vacation, but we were still working pretty
I don't
much.
actually don't know who they are actually. So
All star Nerdless, Stella Chu.
oh wow,
Uh,
no, I don't. Yeah,
yeah, she's pretty popular. There's a few of them. I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but it's I don't know if it's a newer thing that they've been doing, but they're a bunch of cosplayers that do burlesque dancing.
oh okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of the cosplay scene now, so I'm kind of like we went to Emerald City Comic Con and we have a couple of videos coming out from there, but like it just became too expensive for us to fly everywhere to like cover it. And kind of like the inherent problem with taking photos and doing videos on cosplay is a little bit that everyone has a cell phone.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone can kind of beat you to the punch now. So, um, but yeah, that's hard. Cosplay photography is also very hard.
Brian Smith, you send me the costume and I'll cosplay as Wario. I don't care. that's, that's why I said I was trying to work out a deal with my partner. I was like, listen, we can be a cosplay team. You make the costumes and I'll wear them. Here's my list.
That's not bad.
No.
That's a good gig. That's a good
Yeah,
gig,
yeah.
man.
I had it all worked out. I was like Savage Aquaman and Baron is that Baron Zemo?
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
the
yeah.
Hawk King from the old Flash Gordon
I could never.
movie.
Yeah, Hawking. I never could figure out. Like, I definitely wanted to play a Death Trooper because they're tall, like I am, and I can't really. I'd make a really ridiculous looking Stormtrooper. But the Death Trooper seemed like custom made for me. Uh, I just would want my own character, and I'm kind of working on. I make characters that I'll never get to play because I never get to play. I always DM, but like I'm working on a Dragonborn character because Draconians are cool, and I don't know. Dragons are cool, man. Like when people ask me like a really in-depth question, like, why do you want to play a dragon? Like actually, Chris Perkins asked me, what is it that you like about Dragonborn? I'm like, dragons are cool. Like that's a big intellectual answer for Chris Perkins.
4th edition, like it took me a lot to come back to Dragonborn after 4th edition. And for the longest time, and these guys have been around for a while, they know what I'm going to say. The thing that put me off about Dragonborn the most was dragon boobs. I'm like, come on, they're freaking lizards. They don't have boobs.
I don't remember what they did with the Dragonborn in 4th edition, but I think they're pretty cool in 5th edition. And plus the new racial traits and Unearthed Arcana, you can like have a little bit more effective claws for damage, and you can also have like armor, and you can even choose a feat for wings.
And the roar, yeah, they actually
the roar is really cool. I think, yeah. I don't think it's like overpowered either. I think it's just nice. It's just like good flavor.
Well, I think the thing like me and Ted were talking about is with the Dragonborn breath weapon, it's great at low levels, but as you level, it doesn't scale enough to be worth using. For the most part, it's going to be very situational.
Yeah, but I think that's true of a lot of the traits you see that have any kind of magical like effect, like the ones that give you like cantrips that are just like after a long rest you can do them. Like those are never going to be that powerful. So
that's why
it's just a nice affectation. I don't think it should scale too much. Unlike like the Arcane Archer abilities, I like a lot better. At least they came out with another version of the Arcane Archer again just Monday.
I think what we were talking about doing is maybe making the breath weapons a bonus action, so they're always useful.
I kind of like that because it's kind of like casting especially if it's like casting a spell like an Eldritch Knight. That can be really fun. Plus, they use bonus actions for like using barbs if you're a tiefling, and also for that one barbarian class dwarf that has spikes all over their armor. They can take a bonus action. Yeah, I think that'd be really fantastic.
It's not that much damage, and like because like if you're say you're a Dragonborn fighter or a paladin, even if it comes down to swinging your sword or using a breath weapon, you're just better off swinging your sword.
Yeah, but it's a nice combo. Yeah, and it adds flavor, and that's what you really want with any of these things.
Yeah,
you want to add flavor to your character. So yeah.
But I guess the thing we were saying,
I'll yell at them next time I drop by.
The roar is like a nice fix because you get to affect multiple targets, 30 foot, and it scales better with your level than the other stuff.
Oh yeah, that's a really good point actually. Yeah, because it's an ability save, and
so at higher levels, the roar is way better than probably breathing on somebody. Because what are you going to do? 5d6 tops or 4d6 or whatever it ends up being. At 20th level, that's like a scratch.
Yeah, and I think that's always for spellcasters in D&D to remember, like, is it better to fight the troll or is it better to blind it and like for a run between its legs, right? Like you have a higher percentage, and that's what I like about D&D is like there's always like a better way, and not necessarily combat is not necessarily the better way. You can, if you're smart, you can find an alternative
or more interesting, anyways. So we've been going now for just over an hour, and I have a dentist appointment coming up at some point. But I do appreciate you coming on, and see, that went by fast.
Yeah.
And it's awesome that you're able to come on. Now more of these folks will hear about Dungeon Life. They can check it out. Like I said,
thanks for watching, everybody. Really appreciate it.
All the links are in the description to check it out. We're right around 73 people now. But I think at some point I saw us up in the 80s. So that's these live chats. I guess I've been doing them for like 4 weeks now, and they just keep growing. And fans seem to
it's fun.
They seem to like them. People are coming on, so we're gonna keep doing them. And you got an open invitation. Come back anytime you want.
Oh yeah, dude, I will totally come back. My live stream. If you want to see me fail, it's gonna be May 14th. It's gonna be Sundays at 1 p.m. on Twitch on the Dungeon Life channel. It's gonna be my friends and I goofing off. It's a Norse mythology themed D&D campaign because I'm a big Norse mythology nerd, and it's going to be definitely over the top and crazy. So drop by and learn how not to DM maybe.
Well, I'm sure you're going to be tweeting about that and posting it on Facebook. Cool. So you guys, if you follow them over on Facebook and on Twitter, you'll be able to get updates on that. So until next time, everybody, stay nerdy.
All right. Thank you.